system. So Joe, over the years, has developed systems for our sales approach. So most everything is categorized and automated, but put into systems. So we are sure that we don't leave any stones untouched. So, and Joe will just give you a little bit of an overview of some of the tools, well, two of the tools that we're using for that.
And Uli,
Okay.
I apologize. I thought you were presenting as well, and so we were going to kick it to you.
No, it's okay. We're doing good,
Intro.
right?
Okay, well, do I have the floor now? Okay.
You have the floor.
I guess, Hal, you're the master of ceremonies, correct?
You have the screen. Take over.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we were talking about how this would go before everybody joined, and kind of like maybe we want to have it as a bit interactive. I don't have a PowerPoint. This really wouldn't lend itself to that, but I do have a little outline of what we're going to try to cover in the, I don't know, a couple of minutes that I have. We're going to look at HubSpot in general, just a quick overview of the platform so you can see what it's like. Then we'll look at one prospective client that we're prospecting, just a little idea of how we handle that. Another client that is a client, we have a maintenance client that we've worked with before, and we're just staying in front of somebody that we've already done business with. That's Bug Bite thing. And then we'll talk about another application called Punchbowl that we use in conjunction with HubSpot to do some client outreach with existing clients, maintenance clients. So let's get started with a quick overview of HubSpot. And so this is the HubSpot setup here, and we'll look at let's go to take a look at Torx here. It is an online platform. It is, everything is done on the cloud, so there's no need to download a desktop application or anything. And so that's great. It's wherever you are, you can access it, use it for what you want to do. But so this is the general view. I mean, I don't know if there's a view that you have when you log in, but the typical view is the company's view, which you can see here. And it's just a list of all the companies. You can find a company quickly. You want to type it in. This is just showing the latest ones that we've added in. And then when you have a company that you've added in, this is one that we just added in yesterday. Then you put the contacts over here. So the company information goes over here. It's down like in a column here. You can customize the fields to say what you want to put in. A lot of the stuff automatically populates. So when we found the URL for Yes and Agency, HubSpot just put in their address. They put in their description. They put in a LinkedIn bio, all this stuff. They even put in what the annual revenue is for this company. So it's really nice if you can just get a website. All that stuff just goes right in there. And then we added in a contact. She had contacted us through another platform, and then just put in her email address, and then you fill in the person's information. And you can see Carolyn Rooney here. This is account management intern. And I put in her LinkedIn URL. I put in her email, and I don't think we got a phone. We didn't get a phone number for her, but I could have put that in as well. And then the different features, you can show the activity, shows the notes that I put in for Carolyn. I just copied an email that I sent her, and I put that in here. And the emails that I've gotten for her would actually come in. So I have an Outlook account, and I associated it with HubSpot, which you can do. So you can actually email the person. If I want to email her, I click on the little link here, and I can compose an email. I put my signature in there. So I don't think it's just Outlook. I think you can use other email platforms, and it will synchronize with them, and you can send out that way. So that's the basic general overview here. And I guess I'm segueing into prospecting. I was going to look at another company, but this one is just as good. I already showed you.
Joe, just before you jump in, Paul was asking, where's the line between the free version of HubSpot versus the paid version? Anything you want to call out the differences on?
Yeah, so right now, everything I've showed you can be done with the free version. The main thing that becomes a differentiator between the free and the paid version is the use of the sequences, and that segues perfectly into the next thing that I wanted to get to, which is.
I think also the free version limits you to maybe 2,000 companies.
Okay.
Yeah, but the paid version, guys, is only $50 a month. So it's not a big expense.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. It's only $50. We only have one license for $50 a month. So that's all we're paying. If we had multiple people on there and we wanted all of them to have these features, then we would want a $50 subscription for each user. So you may not want to have, but let's talk about what the sequences are. So we use sequences for prospecting. So let's say I want Carolyn Rooney, I want to send her a sequence of emails. So what I can do is click on here, I'll go to our sequences, and I have a whole bunch of different sequences set up. So we look at the, you can put them into folders. So I have a series of sequences: discontinued sequences, follow-up, prospecting, website verticals, and for maintenance and prospecting. So, I mean, you can create your own series of sequences. This is just how we've done it. And since she's prospecting, I'm going to go in here, and then I have different folders for the different types of sequences we send. I have some for technical translation, corporate communications, marketing, scientific and medical devices, interpretation groups, legal groups, gaming, and we can create other. Again, this is just how we're doing it. And this is an ad agency, so I would probably go to the marketing and website localization. I would pick the first one that I have here. And then it comes up, and actually, I don't know why this is a glitch in the system. It may not be this way for you, but I have to put in the name again. And then I can schedule when I'm going to start sending this out. And so I might send it later. I can put in a date, maybe I want to send it, get started on that date there. And I might even set the time of day that I want to send it out, start it up. And now you can see that she's in a sequence. So we want to look at the activity, and it tells you that the first email is going to go out on the 1st of March, the second one on the 31st of March. So these are spaced out about a month apart. This is just how we like to do ours. And there are different series of emails, and these are from our templates. And I need to enroll this here, because I don't actually want to start on this yet, but you can look at the different templates that you can send out to Miss Rooney, and you can look here to the templates, and you can see that we have a number of templates, and like these are our follow-up ones, and you see that we've created a number of, I can't say I've actually created the structure, but we've worked collaboratively on these different emails. So, we've come up with these different things. They're different emails for different situations, and you can put those emails into a sequence that will go out, say 5 per sequence. Actually, HubSpot gives you a maximum of 5 per sequence that will go out. And so we have a number of, like I said, we have a number of different templates. We have lots of different templates, and they go into different sequences, and we have lots of different sequences for different clients.
So just to jump in, we know from experience that it takes about 7 email outreaches like that. So about 7 months before we start seeing responses, which is just another, verification that you have to stay in front of prospects regularly to hopefully meet them at a time when they have a translation need.
Yeah, those are all excellent points, Uli.
I'm wondering, what are you guys doing, and what are you seeing? What are your results? Are you staying in front of prospects regularly? I just want to see what other people's experiences.
I use Constant Contact, and I'm reaching out to them maybe twice a month, either with events or providing some content. So it's not a
Well,
true CRM. I guess it's more of a communication database in a CRM.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hey, Uli,
Yeah.
can you hear me? I thought I might have been on mute. I still know that most people don't pick up the phone these days, but I do what I call the two-step. And so I make a list of the folks that I want to get in front of, but the subject line of the email says free for a 10-minute chat. And I set it up so it gets delivered at 12 o'clock on noon on Monday. And I call them in the morning and I say, be on the lookout for an email that says free for a 10-minute chat. And there's a link in there that'll connect you with my calendar. I've got some ideas for you. I'd love to check up on you, something like that. And that has been phenomenal because people are actually booking 10-minute chats. They always have 10 minutes available. And out of every 5, 4 respond. So it's quick, it's easy, it's relevant, and these are people that I already know. And those conversations lead to next steps. So I just wanted to share that with you. It really is remarkable.
I really like the whole thing about it. I'd like to check up on you, just the staying in touch with somebody and being authentic about it. I really do like that.
Donna, how often will you send so that message sounds different and easy where, it's just 10 minutes and you might be somebody I like. So how often will you send that message?
Okay, so I have a lot of different mini projects. So just know who the audience is. These are prospects or folks that I've sent a proposal to, and now I have crickets on my hands. So I'll identify 5 people every week. And Monday is my day where I go through the process. And I use Outlook where you can schedule things out. And so I'll put it, together on the weekend. I'll schedule it out for the email to go there and arrive on their desktop at 12 o'clock on Monday. And all I need to do is call them in the morning and say, be on the lookout for the email that says free for a 10-minute chat. And here's what we're going to talk about, or here's why I'm reaching out, or I'd love to check up on, see how you're doing. Another thing that I do is I am a connector. I've got someone I want you to meet. I've spoken to Joe. I want to find out if you want to meet him. And that's just another way to be top of mind and lead with value. So in answer to your questions, Hal, it really depends on the person. But each phone call is different and each email is different depending on my objective. So I need to know that in advance. And I limit it to 5 targets every week.
Thanks, Donna. Joe, back to you.
I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Am I done? Is that the end of my presentation? Sorry.
Nope,
I mean,
take it back.
I can wrap
Nope,
it
you
up.
can take it.
Oh, okay.
Nope, you can take it
Yeah,
back.
I want to kind of wrap it up quickly, though. I think I don't want to go on too long. So go back to where I was. Yeah, so I mean, I like what Donna had to say about, customizing responses. That's really important. And so I have some mixed feelings about using HubSpot because we do send out a lot of templates. HubSpot does customize it. You can put in a person's name and their company name to go into the template of the email, but it's not, I think what Donna is talking about is a really highly customized approach. And I would agree that that's much more effective when you can do it. To really focus on a limited number of people. That's great. I think the thing that I want to keep in mind in using HubSpot is once we have a conversation going, a real meaningful dialogue, I don't use templates. I'm not going to rely on this templated, automated kind of system. I'm going to interact with people in a personalized way. And so I think Donna's approach, like focusing on a limited number of people, is very effective. I totally agree with that. I think that we want to keep this in mind, though, that this is only for certain things. I don't know if this would, it's not a replacement for a real human being with a thoughtful response in any way, but it is useful for prospecting. It is useful for some automated tasks that you may want to use in certain contexts, even for existing clients. So one feature I wanted to show you is, let's say that we had Carolyn that we actually did an order for her, and we're like, yeah, let's request some feedback for her. So what I can do is I can go in here and I have a list of templates, individual templates, and I can just type it in the search bar and I can say, feedback. And I got these cool things here. I've got created these different templates for different types of feedback I want to request, but I can do the one for UpCity or Google, because we use UpCity or Google for feedback. And you can see this says, we'd like, if you give us some feedback, we'll give you a $20 Target gift card. So who doesn't like that, right? But then you send this to them and you can schedule the send to go out again some other time. It's one of the things I really love about HubSpot. You can say tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, or you can do custom here, and you can say, I'm going to send it out like maybe next week, or maybe, maybe tomorrow at a particular time, and then it'll go out to them. It'll be scheduled, and they can request feedback. And let's say that Carolyn actually does post a nice review for us online. Well, then
or
I want to
not so nice, right? It's not conditional. So the $20
Yeah, that's right.
for any kind of feedback, even if it's
Yeah.
bad feedback. But we haven't received bad feedback. Knock on wood.
Mm-hmm. So then we can also, then I'm going to segue to Punchbowl and show you how we can, Uli wanted to, initially I thought, well, let's send him that gift card with a HubSpot email. And then Uli was like, no, let's do it with Punchbowl. That's a little classier. So we'll get to that later. But one other quick feature I wanted to show you about calls. If you make calls, you can log a call here. I can log a call with Carolyn Rooney, and I could even type in some notes about what we talked about on that call. And so then you have a record with it, which is a really nice feature. Task feature is one of the things I like the most about HubSpot too. It's like I say, I have I'm having some one-on-one with Carolyn, some phone calls. Maybe there was an email, and she said, "Hey, Joe, can you follow up with me in about a month or 2 months or whenever? I'll know more by then." So I'm going to create a task, and I'll put in here, follow up with Carolyn, and I can even put in some notes in here, and I could even say like, check the notes if I put in some notes about her. And then I want to do the follow up in, let's say, 3 months. She said, I'll know more in 3 months. Okay, then I'll put in, I like to put the task reminder at task due time, and I'll put in here, like, just save it. And then the cool thing is when this date comes up in this time, if I put the reminder at task due time, I'll get an email in my inbox that say, hey, you need to follow up with Carolyn. So then I don't have to remind myself. It's a really nice feature that it has. And then and suddenly she follows up with me, I can do the check, it's done. I've followed it up. I can schedule a follow-up. There's all kinds of things you can do here, but I can also just delete this thing. I don't want it. That's there too. So anyway, that's a really cool feature. So I think this is, any more questions about HubSpot, just how the platform works? I think I gave you guys a pretty good overview.
How long did it take you to learn it?
I didn't really have to learn it at all. HubSpot is so intuitive. I was using it right off the bat. There really wasn't anything to master to learn how to use it. It's so intuitive. How long did it take me until I set up this whole system that I showed you? That took a while, because it wasn't just me. It was me working with a number of colleagues to come up with the templates and the whole system that we have. That took longer. But as far as you just using it, like I'm going to put people in here, I'm going to put companies in here, I'm going to put contacts with those companies, I'm going to put in notes about my interactions with them. That's immediate. You don't need any time to get started doing that at all.
And what was really nice too is when we had a sales team we had like 3 or 4 people, it was easy to add them, and then it was easy to pull reports to see, to check on their activity. So you can upscale really easily.
And you get a lot of statistics from there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bounce it back to Donna, because Donna, your intervention was very timely, and everything you said was very relevant to what I'm presenting here. I kind of wanted to actually hear you go on longer when you talked earlier, but you stopped. But could you talk about, because again, I think Donna's point is so important. And customized, personalized responses to people is critical. That's the best outreach by far. So there's a time to use HubSpot and there's a time not to use it. And after you've established a good interpersonal reaction with somebody, you really don't want to be throwing templated emails at them. But with that in mind, Donna, after this presentation, can you think of how you would want to possibly incorporate HubSpot into what you do?
I have a version of HubSpot, but it's not as elegant as HubSpot. And you're going to probably laugh at this one, but it's called Less Annoying CRM.com. And it really is a thing. So it's just very simple. But HubSpot, and it operates like HubSpot with task reminders and all of that. But I've been thinking about using HubSpot for a while. And so I make a distinction in my pipeline when I've got someone where I have a relationship with them, I want to nurture that relationship, I want to bring it to the next level. And I do that in a number of different ways. And I might have an opportunity to talk about that in depth in the future sometimes. But I think for me, the gold is the 80-20 rule. And I focus on, the 20% of the activities that deliver 80% of my revenue. And I'm always nurturing and massaging the 20%. I hope that might clarify a couple of things.
So I'm going to jump in if I could, Joe. Joe, I'm going to jump in because Lee was asking this question, and I think we started the conversation, HubSpot can handle it, without talking about the technology, although I love Donna's name, less annoying. What do people think is a good cadence for getting a message from somebody that you appreciate? Like Paul's going to talk about peer accountability, and I might want to hear about that. How often would you want to hear about something of interest? Not your hobby, but how often you want to get emails about things. So this is for everybody besides Joe. So Hank, Paul, how often would you like to get an email about something, whether you read it or it just sits in your box and goes, oh, it's nice to see that Jared's around. Good, I'll catch up with him later. How often would you like to get messages?
Well, I would say, you're saying this is from an existing contact of mine?
Existing contact that you're not actively engaged with. You're just they're trying to recruit you for something or stay.
Folks like us, how often would you want an email from us?
I would say like every other month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hank, what about
I
you?
would say monthly, probably at the most. But I will say that it has to be something that I may eventually be interested in.
Right.
Because if it's something that's completely irrelevant, I'm going to try to figure out how to unsubscribe.
Sure. And that's
Lee,
good
how about
too,
you?
right? Sorry.
Lee
Yeah,
and Sabine, what do you think?
Yeah, I think monthly is a good cadence. I always like to try to think of myself in terms of I want to be pleasantly persistent, but I don't want to pester them. Monthly feels like a good frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Monthly.
Yeah, that's funny that you guys say that because initially we had started with weekly sequences or even every couple of days, rather emails going out that, and over time it seemed that the monthly was the best frequency. So it's interesting that we all come to that conclusion.
It seems like, Joe, there's a combination of things here. So, for example, Donna spreads her whatever number of emails out to almost every day. Something's going out, but not everybody's in the same email. And there's lots of best practices that will talk about splitting your list up so you're not doing it all at one time, right? It minimizes too many people responding together. I love Lee's comment about persistently. Go ahead.
Oh, my thing is that if you send things out, I like to follow up. If I send out 50 emails, I can't possibly do a fresh follow-up on that. So I go ahead and schedule it out. Like, should say I send out 5. I certainly can make 5 phone calls in the next 3 or 4 days, right? And then I just do it in like little waves like that, because otherwise, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like if I send out like 50 emails, it's like nothing ever comes up with that.
Doesn't it matter as well if it's an informational? I mean, there's a distinction between an informational email where you're passing content along versus a solicitation email, correct?
Right.
So, I mean, how do you feel about if you get a true value added email Is that, if you get 2 of those a month, does that feel like it's overkill, or as long as there's value in it for you, or is that good? I'm not talking about come use me as a coach, but I'm talking about valuable information around whatever, how to run a business or any value added content.
Yeah, I think twice a month is good for that, Jeff, because you'll read it when you have time or if you find the subject line interesting, and then it still keeps you top of mind so that if I ever feel like I'm in a need for that service, I will think of you first.
Yeah, and Jeff, I will say I used to love your case study emails that you would send out. Those
Yeah.
I always read those. So,
Okay. All right, good to know.
I thought those were really interesting because it was real. Not that the other stuff
Where-
isn't, but you know.
Whereas you're right, if it's prospecting and then, you're trying to solicit, maybe because I'm more not aggressive anyway, but maybe once a month that makes more sense because then you're not being too forceful, unless the person asks you to reach out, right? So that's different.
Interesting success story about that, Sabine. Just to give you an idea of how HubSpot can work in that way. We had one person we started communicating with in early 2021, and they went through 3 full sequences. So I don't know how many emails went out per month over a very long time. They finally responded after almost 2 years, I guess, and said, yeah, here's something we got for you guys to do. Prepared a quote, immediately converted it. So, so sometimes that happens too. Yeah, you just stand in front of people.
And then they know
All right,
you've
I'm
been
gonna
around
jump
for
in.
a while.
I'm going to jump in because we want to watch everybody's time. Joe, really good insights, letting us know not only that HubSpot is a good tool, but some of the conversations about the content that so many other people, Jeff and Sabine, were talking about. So I appreciate you taking the time to share that. Quick reminder for those on this call, Jared remains entertaining with What If I Told You? We're just going to send memes out. See, that's our authentic content. As a heads up, in 2 weeks, Paul's going to be speaking about a peer accountability partner program. We talked about this. This kind of caught on beginning of the year when Paul mentioned it, and all of a sudden people started gravitating to that conversation about how well that could work or does work. So we'll do that on the 8th, followed by social media conversation on the 22nd, a LinkedIn conversation on the 12th, and then heads up on the 26th. We're going to try an idea that Jared came up with of really how to do facilitated conversations about who we're trying to connect with. So with that, we're going to wrap up. Again, thank you, Joe and Uli, for sharing so much about what TrueLanguage has been doing and reaching out and talking to people. So with that, back to work. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Have a great
Hal.
week.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Joe and Uli.
Bye-bye.